I've always believed that every story starts with a whisper, something half heard, half forgotten, carried by the wind or the waves. Out here in the dark corners of the world, there are things that don't make the news. Things no one ever writes down. But sometimes, someone survives long enough to tell the tale. What you're about to hear isn't folklore. It's not a campfire story. It's a confession from a man who saw something out there in the endless Atlantic that no one was ever meant to find. This is the Bition. The ocean doesn't care about you. It doesn't hate you. It doesn't love you. It just is a vast, indifferent expanse stretching further than our minds can truly grasp. I've spent most of my life on it, and I've learned that the ocean only pretends to be calm. Beneath that still blue surface, it hides things. Things that don't belong in our world anymore, or maybe never did. I wasn't a storyteller. I wasn't looking for attention. I'm a freight captain. My name doesn't matter, because if you've ever crossed the Atlantic, chances are you've passed over something that used to have a name too. Back in 2019, I was in command of a small cargo vessel, the MV Red Sabre. Just 4 of us on board. We'd been hauling steel and machinery from Spain to Canada. It was routine, the kind of trip where nothing happens and you start to crave something unusual, anything to break the monotony. I got what I wished for. 3 days out from Spain, around 2 in the morning, I was in my cabin studying the navigation charts. The radio crackled once, then again. It wasn't weather interference. It was deliberate. A faint, broken voice cut through the static Mayday. Mayday. This is the Bition, latitude 35, longitude. Then it vanished. I frowned. The name meant nothing to me. The Bition. Never heard of it. I grabbed the intercom and called up to the bridge. Gallagher, you picking that up? A pause. Then his voice. ICAP. It's looping. Same distress call every 30 seconds. We're running it through the registry now. When I got to the bridge, Gallagher was pale. The monitor glowed in front of him, the code repeating like a heartbeat. Holloway, the youngest of the crew, stood near the window, arms crossed tight, tapping his foot. Rodriguez leaned in the corner, silent. Gallagher looked at me and said quietly, "You might want to see this." The registry had matched the call sign. The Bition was real, or had been. The entry showed its last recorded voyage, year 1921. That couldn't be right, but it was. The Bition vanished off the coast of Portugal more than 100 years ago. No wreckage, no survivors, just gone. And yet that signal we heard, it was live. No degradation, no bounce, not an echo from the past. It was happening right now. Rodriguez muttered something under his breath, a prayer maybe. "This is bad luck," he said. "We shouldn't meddle." I wanted to agree, but we were sailors. A distress call meant lives might be at stake. So I gave the order to change course. We headed toward the coordinates. The fog rolled in not long after. First a thin veil, then thicker, heavier, until the horizon disappeared. The ocean went still. The wind died. It felt like we'd sailed into another world. The radar picked up a mass ahead, solid, large, floating dead, still in open water. Gallagher adjusted the radio. "Bition. This is the Red Sabre responding to your distress call. Do you copy?" Only static answered. Then, out of the mist, we saw it. The Bition. It was massive, an old merchant vessel, wooden hull, dark and slick, with moisture sails furled tight. But there was no damage, no sign of decay. The thing looked preserved, as if time had forgotten it. For a long minute, no one spoke. Then I said it. "We're boarding." We lowered the dinghy and approached. The water was unnaturally calm, too calm. No waves, no current. The ladder hanging from the ship's side was still intact. I grabbed it, felt the damp rope creak under my weight, and climbed. The others followed, though Rodriguez hesitated longest. The deck was slick and cold beneath our boots. Everything looked maintained. The ropes were coiled neatly. The lanterns hung in place, but unlit. There was no smell of rot, no sign of weathering, just silence. I called out, "Bition, this is the captain of the Red Saber. Anyone aboard?" My voice echoed, then faded into nothing. Gallagher tried next. Nothing. It felt like the ship was listening. We decided to split up, cover more ground. Gallagher went topside. I took Holloway with me to check the captain's quarters. Rodriguez went below deck. The captain's cabin was small but organized. A bed perfectly made. A desk cluttered with maps, emptying bottles, and an open logbook. The pages were warped from damp, but the writing was still legible. I flipped through carefully. May 3rd, 1921. Northeasterly wind steady. Men in good spirits. Normal entries followed adjustments to coarse weather notes. But then things changed. May 10th. Voices below deck. Bosun claims he heard them too. Crew uneasy. May 13th. Men are restless. Mr. Avery refuses to sleep below. The others whisper, "I do not believe it is the wind." And finally, scrawled with shaky handwriting, May 18th. The sea is speaking. The men are listening. I am the only one left. The ink had bled through the page, as if the words themselves were sinking. Holloway's voice cracked. "You think this is real?" I didn't answer, because deep down, I already knew. We regrouped on the deck 10 minutes later, or we were supposed to. Rodriguez wasn't there. We called out, waited. Nothing. Gallagher frowned. He should have been back by now. We headed down the narrow stairs into the lower deck. The air was thicker down there, damp and stale, like the breath of something sleeping. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, catching glints of rusted metal and half-open crates. Rodriguez. No answer. Only the creak of the ship. Then something else. A sound. Wet. Heavy. Like something being dragged. We found him near the engine room, or what was left of him. His chest had been torn open, pieces missing. His face twisted, unrecognizable. But the worst part wasn't the gore. It was that there was no blood, only seawater pooling beneath him, shimmering faintly in our flashlights. Holloway gagged. Gallagher stood frozen, jaw-tight knuckles, white around the flashlight. We didn't know what could do something like that. And then we realized it wasn't just death we were looking at. It was consumption. Something had eaten him. We turned to leave. That's when we heard it. A shuffling behind the crates, slow dragging steps. I raised my light. Something moved. At first, it looked human. But as it stepped forward, the light caught its face, bloated pale blue skin, cracked like old leather. Barnacles clung to its neck and shoulders. Its mouth hung open, and from between its teeth, something writhed. Thin, wet tendrils. I couldn't speak. Then it made a sound, a gurgling wet croak that should never have come from a human throat. Rodriguez's body hit the floor as we dropped it and ran. The thing followed. Its steps were slow, but wrong, too heavy, too deliberate. Gallagher shoved past me. Holloway tripped but scrambled up again. I turned once, just once, and saw it moving toward us, half limping, half crawling eyes, black and empty. We fought it on the stairwell. I swung a crowbar connected with its head. A hollow crack. Black water spilled out instead of blood. It fell, finally still. But when we looked closer, It was wearing a sailor's uniform, old, torn, and on the chest, a faint faded name tag, Bition. None of us spoke. The silence pressed on our ears like weight. Then we heard it faint from deeper below deck, breathing, not one, dozens. Slow, wet, labored breaths rising together in sickening unison. They heard us, Gallagher whispered. And then they came. Figures crawling out of the shadows, climbing over crates and barrels, swollen bodies, limbs bent, wrong eyes gone. Some walked upright, others crawled on all fours, dragging themselves with hands that left streaks of black water on the wood. They didn't make a sound except for that horrible breathing. We ran. The ship exploded into chaos, the pounding of boots, the crash of metal, the wet slap of flesh against the floor. One of them lunged and caught Gallagher's leg. He screamed a sound that cut straight through me, and then he was gone, dragged back into the dark. I didn't look. I couldn't. Holloway and I kept running. We burst through the upper deck hatch, gasping lungs burning. The fog was thicker now, a suffocating wall. Behind us, the sounds were getting closer. Something grabbed my arm, slick cold fingers, and I tore free skin, burning where it touched me. Holloway swung a broken pole, knocking one of them back. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. We ran to the edge and jumped. The cold hit like a blade. Salt filled my lungs. The current pulled us under. For a moment, I thought the sea would take me too. Then I surfaced, choking, gasping. Holloway was a few feet away, shouting my name. The dinghy was still there, drifting in the mist. We pulled ourselves in and started rowing. Neither of us looked back at first, but I did eventually. The Bition stood motionless in the fog, its silhouette fading, and on the railings, I saw shapes, dozens of them, watching us leave, bound to that cursed vessel. We rowed until our arms gave out. The fog swallowed everything. When the ocean finally went quiet again, we thought it was over. Then I heard it, a voice, far away at first, then closer. "Captain, come back, please. Rodriguez." His voice was calm, clear, like nothing had happened to him. Then another, "Don't leave us behind." "Gallagher." I stopped rowing. Holloway grabbed my arm, shaking his head. His eyes said it all, "Don't answer." But the voices kept calling, each word perfectly clear, each syllable echoing across the still water. They sounded alive, and that's the part that haunts me most. We made it back to our vessel. When we radioed for help, the Coast Guard found nothing, no wreck, no record of a ship named Bition in any registry they could access. They told us it was a hallucination brought on by stress, a mirage, but every night since, at exactly 2:03 a.m., my radio crackles with static just for a moment, and through it, a voice whispers, "Mayday, Mayday. This is the Bition." And sometimes, I almost answer. If you're still here listening, maybe you felt it too, that strange pull, like the ocean calling your name. Stories like this don't end. They just sink, waiting for someone else to drift too close. So if you ever find yourself at sea, and your radio crackles with static around 2 in the morning, and you hear a voice calling for help, don't answer. Because some voices belong to the deep, and the deep never gives them back.